kill me. 101. 117. Why is it doing that? You're usually fine until you start panicking, like a bunch of fucking panicker. Good job, me. I was on a roll until Red Man showed up. Alright, the one thing hit hard. What? He didn't even hit the ground yet! Not my first rodeo, bitch! Ori and the Will of the Wisps is a platform adventure game developed by Moon Studios and published by Xbox Game Studios for Xbox One and Microsoft Windows. To go quickly into a brief synopsis of Will of the Wisps, it takes place immediately after the events of Blind Forest. Kiro's last egg has hatched. Kiro is the main antagonist of Blind Forest, giving birth to Ku. Ku is born with a damaged wing, rendering Ku unable to fly before Gumo finds Kiro's feather and affixes it to Ku's wing. Ku and Ori go off on a flight as Ku, because of putting that wing on, Ku is now able to fly. They go off on a flight, eventually taking themselves to Niwen, where a storm causes Ori and Ku to be separated. Ori's search for Ku eventually leads them to Koalak, a toad who looked over the Inkwater Marsh. Some spoilers happened after that. We're going to keep this spoiler free, which prompted Koalak to tell Ori that he needed to find the 3 wisps to fix the darkness that has taken over the area. So let's talk about the combat in the game. In Blind Forest, the Soul Orb that was kind of floating behind Ori, majority of the game, did all the combat of fighting enemies through the orb would shoot light beams at the enemies and stuff like that. Ori did have some abilities that aren't in this game, that were in the first game, like smashing through stuff, which I missed because that was so great. But in this game, you unlock abilities through finding light trees. So there's more ways to do that we'll get into here. But one of the main things is you find a tree, it has like a light in the middle of it. And you are able to, and that's in Blind Forest too. But in this game, there's a lot more and stuff like that. But Ori is able to control these abilities, such as a Spirit Edge, which is a light sword, or Spirit Arc, which is a light arrow, shooting arrows that are made of light. That's just to name a few of many abilities you can unlock. And some of these abilities are important to even continuing the story in the first place. You have to find, a lot of times you're seeing these areas, right, that you can't get to, but you have to go there. So you have to go off the beaten path and find where this ability is to even continue the story. So these abilities are important as much as they are fun to play with. Especially the big light hammer that you had run enemies that have shields. You can use the light hammer to break the shields and stuff like that. All of your abilities, all of the things Ori does is effective in some way against a certain type of enemy. And the more abilities you unlock, the more equipped you'll be to take on these wide range of enemies you find throughout the game. But to progress through the game, the players are tasked with moving between various platforms and solving puzzles. So you have platforming sections, and then you have puzzles that you got to figure out how to do things. Your basic platformer. You could also collect shards that enhance Ori's abilities, such as Ori taking 10% less damage or sticking to walls while climbing, which really helpful because at first, when you first start the game, you have to jump, repeatedly to get up, but once you have that sticking to walls, he's able to climb up walls a lot more fluid, a lot simpler. I had that equipped the entire game because it felt right. You could add more shard slots by completing combat challenges. So at first you can only have 3 combat slots. I didn't find that many. Apparently I'm just not good enough at the game, but I had 4 slots at the end of my game, so I had 4 abilities. But you start off with 3, and as you do those challenges, you can unlock more shard slots. Because of that, you have all these different things you can add to it. All these different things you can add to into the slots. That gives every player the ability to play Ori in different ways as they see fit. So you may do your playthrough one way, you watch 10 other playthroughs, and they have different abilities that they use on their playthrough. It's very nice to have the interchangeability that everyone can play as Ori the way they want to play as. Now let's talk about the positives of the game. We just touched on one where players can collect shards to enhance Ori the way they want, but also a big positive is the graphics. The graphics are absolutely amazing. This is a game you want to play at 1080p, 60 FPS. The better the quality, the better the experience. This game is just a marvel to look at, and both Blind Forest and Will of the Wisps, just amazing to look at. I can't recommend it enough on the graphics side. 10 out of 10 on the graphics. Unlike Blind Forest, Will of the Wisps relies on autosaving, which I personally enjoyed because I'm not a hardcore. So, in Blind Forest, if I ran out of saves or I ran out of blue orbs, which is what you had to use, a half a blue orb, I believe, to save in Ori and the Blind Forest, you could get sent back a decent amount if you didn't save. Well, in Will of the Wisps, they implemented an autosave system, which I appreciated. I'm sure anybody who isn't maybe a hardcore gamer and just wants to play it and not get sent back maybe a half an hour, 20 minutes, and have to replay all that stuff over again, I think those players will really appreciate that and make the experience that much better for them. They also added additional mechanics that were not in the previous game, like climbing on blue moss, which was awesome. The blue whip that is used to traverse the world. So you had in the first game you had those little lights that you could propel off of in a certain direction. This game still has that, but they also added this blue light thing where it's kind of like a blue lasso that Ori throws up and pulls himself up to and over. And it's just little things like that makes the experience. You can tell that they wanted to add more things instead of just doing the same kind of terrain traversal over again. They were thinking of new ways to do it. I think they did an amazing job at that overall. The boss fights / running sections. They're boss fights. There's just one you fight the boss and the other one you're running, just like Ori and the Blind Forest. And these were amazing. Visually stunning to look at, especially the running sections as Ori does, but also the actual boss fights, challenging. You have to think what you got to do. You have to find that pattern that the boss has. Everything that makes a boss fight good in games, Ori does that to an amazing effect. And I really enjoyed myself. Even if I did rage to hell at bosses in the later part of the game, but they were still amazing. The soundtrack is incredible. One of the best soundtracks. Playing this and Doom back to back, just absolutely amazing on the soundtrack. Like, everybody should look at Ori, look at Doom, and do soundtracks that way, because these two games are at the top for soundtracks in different ways, right? One's heavy metal music, this one is just like very harmony type music, but it's just amazing. And yeah, I want to listen to the soundtrack right now. One thing that this game has that Blind Forest doesn't have is side quests. Missions you can complete to earn extra rewards. Those range from getting items and other things that can help you complete other quests, such as collecting Gorlak ores that you then take to Grom, who you meet early on in the game, who then uses those Gorlak ores to create structures and get rid of obstacles in your way that you may run into. These kind of missions are just a great way to break up the main story and give you more content that you can play, and I really enjoyed those, and sometimes I kind of just happened on Gorlak Orb, but once you get those and everything, you're able, it's just a great way to break up the story, as great as that story is. And another positive, and something that Moon Studios does really good with the Ori franchise, is their ability to make every area you enter feel different. Whether it's the snow level, whether it's the water level, whether it's a fire level, it don't matter. Every single area you go into feels different. You enter a different challenge. You get different abilities that you need to traverse that area. And they just do a great job of making every single area feel like a brand new challenge, almost like a brand new game as you're going in there trying to figure out what do you have to do, what do you have to do in this puzzle, what ability do you need to unlock to get through this section of the game. And that is something I have always really adored about the Ori franchise. So let's talk about the negatives. The glitches. What the fuck is going on? Bizarro world! We're in the land. Good, I'm in the wall. Thank you. The random freezing that happened many times throughout my playthrough.
Just the way I work. Huh. Hey! To the sea. Fly like an eagle is a spirit can't believe I'm gonna fly. Fly right into the future.
The game also crashed on me twice throughout my playthrough, and sometimes the camera, when you were running, trying to run to the right or run to the left, run to the next section of the area, the camera would not pan, and it would stay focused on an area, and you would just be like, fucking pan! Pan over, you fucking piece of shit! But then it would eventually pan, and you would calm the fuck down. But it's still really fucking annoying, and something that they need to patch. All this stuff that I just laid out, they need to patch, because it can really hurt an experience of a otherwise amazing game.
The camera's also all of a sudden starting to have issues where it doesn't pan right away.
So now it comes down to the final score. All the upgrades they made, all the improvements they made to the first game, the graphics still being amazing for what it is, the upgrades from the boss fights and the running sections, and sometimes interchangeable boss fights and running sections, the soundtrack being absolutely incredible. But that being said, I think I'm going to end up giving this game tough love because of the random freezing, the glitches, the game crashing on me, camera issues that happen throughout the game. So I think I'm going to end up giving this game an 8 out of 10. This is a game that if you love the first game, you'll love this game. It is a game you won't really forget because of how beautiful the game looks and how great but tragic the story of the game is. I would recommend this game to anyone who loves platformers or just loves good games. And once they work out all the kinks on the glitches and freezes and crashes, this game's an easy 9 out of 10 and a must-own for everyone. Even with the glitches and the crashes and the freezing, it is a must-own for everybody. One of the better games of the year, and Moon Studios has just done it again. But that is going to do it for this review. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought of the game. And if you liked the video, please hit the like button. And if you enjoy the content we've been putting out reviews, playthroughs, podcasts, please hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell to be notified when videos go live. Thank you again for watching, and I will talk to you next time. Goodbye.